Hi, today we're going to work with the First Certificate of English, Reading and Use of English Test, Part 6. Let us start. What you actually need to know about this exercise is that you're going to find one text that has 6 gaps. And then you will have 7 options to fill the gaps, 7 different sentences, obviously. You need to use each one of these options only once, and there's going to be one extra option that can't match any of the gaps. It is not exactly that easy to, point out which one is the extra sentence because it seems that can match in some places, but at the end you will discover that there's no way that it can be matched. In the instructions, you're going to have some introduction, some context. Obviously, if you read the title of the text, you're going to also have some context. And in my opinion, I think that this exercise is a jigsaw puzzle. So if you like solving those kind of board games, I think you're going to like this kind of exercises. Now, this exercise was created to test actually your understanding of the structure of a text and how the ideas, opinions, and events in a text is developed. The main tip actually is find clues. As in any other jigsaw puzzle, you need to find some shapes and colors to know so you know how to match them and you know that that's the correct position. You can always go back, for example, to the box to see the whole picture and to say, oh, well, this is the one that's missing. Anyway, in this kind of exercise, instead of a picture or an image, what you have is a text. And you need to ask yourself, what kind of words hold that text together? Because exactly those words are the ones that are kind of the shapes and colors of your pieces. I'm talking about pronouns such as he, she, us, them, mine, theirs, this, and that. Time expressions such as currently, after that, at first. Conjunctions, which are those words that help us adding more information or contrasting information, such as although, however, besides, what's more, on the other hand. Now let's keep working a little bit more about how these words actually work in a text so you can identify why you need to find them. Here you have a set of 8 sentences and a box with some options, and what you need to do now is on your notebook you're going to write the numbers 1 to 8. There's no need to copy all the sentences. The only thing that you need to do is to actually write in front of each one of these words the options that you have chosen to fill those gaps. Please stop the video in this moment so you can actually do this exercise. Okay, great. So now that you have finished, you should have these options written down. Please stop the video so you can actually compare them, check if they are all right, if something is not okay, something that you wrote is not exactly the same thing that you have here. You can stop, read it, and check why that answer was wrong. Also pay attention that in number 2, 6, and 8, you have more than one possible option to mark as right. Okay, what we're going to continue doing now, after you have checked your answers, is to answer 3 questions just to go a little bit deeper on how these words actually work in these sentences. You may need to come back to this part of the video so you can actually answer those questions. The first one is, which sentences refer back to something already mentioned? Focus on this part. Refer back to something already mentioned. So please stop the video right now so you can answer this question. Great. So what you should have written down on your notebook for question number 1 is that sentence number 1 and sentence number 4 answer this question. Why? Because here we have in number 1, my brother loves watching films and the cinema. He goes whenever a new one comes out. He is just referring back to the only other he that I have in my sentence, which is my brother loves. Well, my brother actually. And then 1 is referring to the part of film. There's no other word that 1 can actually refer back to. Then in number 4, my grandfather spends a lot of time in his garden. That activity, this activity, or it seems to keep him very busy. So I'm referring back to the activity. That's why I'm saying it. Spends a lot of time in his garden. So for these kind of words that I know that they are determiners or pronouns, we're going to name them as reference words. Why? Because one of their functions is exactly to refer back to something that has already been mentioned. Most of the times you're going to find, as in this one, for example, my brother, and then the reference word, he. In few cases, you may find the reference word first and then the idea that is referred afterwards, but it's not exactly that common. Now let's move on to question number 2. Again, please write it on your notebook. Number 2. Which sentences tell us what time the writer is talking about? So here we have what time. Please stop the video and go back to that part of the video where you can look at the sentences and answer this question. Great. So you should have chosen sentence number 3, 5, and 8 as the answers for question number 2. And we have here, at first, I really enjoyed my new school, but then I began to feel something awkward. Then my uncle changes jobs all the time, but currently he's working somewhere else, okay? And if you're making a cake, first you get all the ingredients, and then, or next, or after that, you need to switch on the oven to let it warm up. So all these words, I know that they are time expressions, of course, and they help us actually to get some sequence. So we can call them sequence words. So we have, these kind of words that tell us what happened first and then what happened next. And that is going to be quite helpful to find out the answers. And the last question, number 3. Which sentences add a similar or contrasting piece of information? Please focus on this part of similar or contrasting information. Stop the video so you can find the answers. Okay, so you should have chosen sentence number 2, 6, and 7. In this case, you have living in a city is exciting. However, on the other hand, so contrasting idea. I don't like going out in winter as it's so cold. What's more, my friends aren't keen either of winter, and besides these, my friends aren't keen either, for these winter activities. So here we have, because of these words, we have some adding information, something that it's quite similar, and then you're just adding extra information. And then you have, although I hadn't got any money to spend, I still went into, the shops, the window shop. And here we have, again, some contrasting information. I know that they are called conjunctions. However, we can also call them linking words, because what they do and their main function is to link some sentences together, whether they are for contrasting ideas or for adding more ideas. That doesn't matter. Now, coming back to my main tip, which is finding clues. Okay, what I want to do here is that, in other words, that part of finding clues, it's just this: underline reference words, underline linking words, underline sequence words. Those are going to help you a lot to find out what matches with what. And of course, something that could be really complementary and helpful is to know the topic of a paragraph, because some of the options would be linked to the topic of the paragraph, or you just need to notice some connection with other kind of vocabulary that is not, reference words, linking words, or sequence words. Other kind of information that might be really valuable just to know the context and to know that you're talking about that. We're going to see one example, but before that, I would like to give you another tip that has worked the wonders for me, okay? It actually marked the difference between passing these exercises and getting, a 10, if you want to give it like that, or 6 answers correct out of 6 answers, and failing them, just like that, to get a 0 and not matching them correctly, okay? So, which is start with the options. So I know that the most common strategy is to start reading the title, the text, underlining the keywords there, and then move on to the options and then start matching them. That didn't work for me. If it works for you, that's fantastic. Keep doing it. But I would like to invite you to try this other strategy, which is, instead of reading the text first, just read the title, read the context, in the instructions, and then move on to the options. The options are also giving a lot of information and context. What's more, when you read the options, you can find out exactly what you need to look for. If it's a contrasting word that you have there, for example, however, okay, you know that you need to find a part of a gap with some previous sentences that are leading to that contrasting word. So I think it's kind of easier. This example is going to be based on this strategy. Now we have three options that are going to complement one little text with one gap. First, A, take a pet dog, for example. It will usually love to lie in its favorite basket. So here we have, dog, something lie in his favorite basket, probably starting to give you an idea of what the text is about. B, what's more, they prefer to lie down and sleep outside as it's more natural for them. Okay, we have more keywords here that's leading us to think that this text is about something about resting or sleeping. Then letter C, horses, on the other hand, tend to sleep standing up. So obviously this text is about sleeping habits, or preferences. Now, I would like you to stop the video to actually read the sentences, write down on your notebook option A, B, and C. You do not need to copy them, but just please write down the linking words, reference words, sequence words, and any other kind of keyword that can give you a little bit more of help on finding out how you're going to match it. So please pause the video right now so you can write down your options. Great, now that you have finished, this is the thing that you should have gotten. I want to start with the part of linking reference and sequence words, which is, for example, take a pet dog, for example. This is giving us the idea that something before this sentence has been explained. It's like it's an explanation, and of course I need to give examples to make it clearer. So I may need to find that kind of structure in the text. Then in letter B, we have what's more. Well, adding information. What's easier than that? So you have something before this sentence that needs some extra information added, something similar to the thing that has been written before. And then we have other two, reference words in this case. They are not linking words, they are reference words, which is they prefer to lie down. Who are the they? Do you know that? Well, no, because you haven't read the text before. So you will need to be paying attention to those words, probably a group of people, animals, okay? That, because we're talking about here dog and horses, that's an option, okay, that they prefer. Remember, like the example about my brother likes going to the cinema, and then I use he always goes for because there's a new one. The same thing happens here. You have the they here, and so you need to think about this group of people or animals that may be mentioned before, so you can link them. They prefer to lie down and sleep outside as it's more natural for them. Again, here the reference to this group of people or animals. And then in letter C, you have horses. On the other hand, tend to sleep standing up. And we have, on the other hand, contrasting ideas. So what is giving you the idea, this option, is that there was something before that has to be different from the thing that I'm reading right now. It's a black and white thing. So I'm reading something, and obviously because I'm contrasting this idea, well, it's the opposite of what I'm saying in this sentence, and that's the thing that I need to focus on. Now, you could have also just, highlighted or chosen these kind of words like pet dog, you're talking about pets, and then lie down and sleep outside, something natural about going outside and being outside under the stars. Horses is sleep standing up, so just keep that in mind. They could give you some reference or some idea on how to match with the coming text. Now, this is a text. So now what you're going to do is something similar to what you did with the options. You're going to read the whole text, and on your notebook, you're going to write down the linking words, reference words, or the sequence words. You don't need to find all of them always, but normally you have reference words and linking words. So try to find them out, and probably any other word that could help you match with your options. Please pause the video right now so you can actually find those words and write them down on your notebook. Okay, now that you have finished that activity, you should have chosen it, but for them, uncomfortable to us, lying down to sleep, difficult. You probably have chosen other words, which is perfectly fine, okay? I'm going to start with a part of the reference word. Here you have it may look very uncomfortable for us. So something is really uncomfortable for us, something that is quite different. And if I keep reading this part of the text where we say that people really love being in their beds resting, you know, so probably the it that is quite uncomfortable for us is different from that type of resting. Then we have but for them, so both for this group of animals or people, it's would be kind of lying down to sleep can actually be quite difficult. Now contrasting ideas. So that is going to give you a little bit more of ideas, clues on which one the answer is. Which of the answers is your answer, obviously. So please stop the video right now if you need to go back to that part of the 3 options to see which one of your options is actually the answer. Go ahead and do it and write your answer down on your notebook. Now that you have chosen your answer, I really hope that you have chosen letter C, which is horses, on the other hand, tend to sleep standing up. So if we read the whole text is people and animals sleep in very different ways. Most people can imagine nothing better than when they feel tired than lying down indoors in a soft, cozy bed, and many pets have adopted the same habit. Horses, on the other hand, tend to sleep standing up. It may look very uncomfortable to us, the part of sleeping standing up, but for them, but for the horses, lying down to sleep can actually be quite difficult. And as you can see, this last part is kind of repetitive of this part here because it's contrasting, it's just emphasizing the contrast. So I really hope that this whole explanation have been quite clear and that you can now keep going on practicing with all the tools to succeed in these kind of exercises. Keep practicing. Remember that I'm going to add in the box below a page where you can find many more exercises as this one. Goodbye.